power over them, most of them will steal money from Haiti and invest in the US.
Some people who support Sonko and Jumai 5, over half of them don't have a voter's card.
Sounds like Nigeria.
Join Ireti Bakare-Yusuf on Borderlines as she engages with policymakers and thought leaders,
giving you perspectives and insights you won't find anywhere else.
Be part of the conversation. Join us live.
Your voice matters on Borderlines as we explore the complexities.
Every Friday at 4 p.m.
on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Stay informed, stay engaged.
Step into the conversation.
And welcome to Borderlines, the only show that takes you beyond borders. Today, we are going to be going beyond borders, I assure you, even though my two guests are here with me in the studio. Ladies first, as you all know, I'm a feminist, so I'm going to introduce her first. Her name is Ronya Man. Ronya is an Israeli filmmaker, a producer, actress, and director. She's also the managing director of Ronya Man Arts. That's ARTS Limited. My other guest, yes, I bet you didn't know that there is such a thing as authorized auditor of kosher food certification in Nigeria. He is the only person that is legally and rabbinically authorized to actually audit kosher food certification in Nigeria. His name is Rabbi Mendy Sternbach, the Chief Rabbi of Lagos. Did I pronounce that right?
You did so well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So you can call in, but you know how it is. You will not be able to call in till I open up the lines. But you will be able to send in WhatsApp message to 0809 597 5805. I am going to be discussing with my two guests Israel and religion. So, Rabbi, let me come to you first. You're an American Jew, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Right, tell me, where does the American Jew come from? Unpack that for me.
So, I'm a fourth-generation American citizen. My father's side comes from a place called Lithuania and Galicia a little bit. And my mother was born and raised in Iran.
Okay, in Iran.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's, so could I say she was one of the Arab Jews who lived in Iran, like Avishlem? Back then?
I don't know who Avishlem is.
Okay, he's a professor.
But
right,
I will say that I don't think the Iranians like to be called Arabs.
Why?
That's their
that's
their own issues, not mine.
Okay, true, but there was prior to 1948, we did have Jews in Arab countries that, there were Jewish Arabs, like Avishlem, his family, and several others.
Yeah, and my wife's family, both sides are from Morocco. You have
exactly. Morocco, yes, exactly. Okay, brilliant. Ronya, tell me. You're an Israeli, but I know you don't sound Israeli. So what's Ronya's background?
First of all, I grew up in Lagos, some of my childhood.
Okay.
I lived here.
What year did you come here?
It was 1990.
Okay.
I mean, I've lived here for like 4 years with my parents. I was in school then. Then
4 years or beyond?
4 years.
Okay, so you came back.
Let me finish.
Okay.
So then I went to boarding school in England.
Okay.
And then I went to live in Israel.
Okay.
And then I lived in Berlin for a bit, and I came here.
Okay.
I didn't think I would come back, but life
there
brought
you
me
are.
back.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm very happy it did. I'm a filmmaker in Nigeria, so I come with film and theater background from Israel. and coming here, that was end of 2015.
Okay.
And I got into the film and theater and performing arts industry in Nigeria, and I'm very happy I did. I started with Society of Performing Arts Nigeria, that's SPAN, and then moved on to Iroko TV, Africa Magic, did projects with them as an assistant director mostly, also casting, also acting a lot, and I still do. My latest acting work was with Jim Ike.
Okay.
And in May, I shot my own production in Jos.
Okay.
And I've been representing Nollywood in Cannes every year since 2019.
Okay.
And in
I'm
Belgrade
going to have to
in
write.
February.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Because your profile is very long.
What I wanted to basically say is I'm Nigerian.
Right. So, but you call yourself an Israeli filmmaker.
No, I actually call myself Nigerian, but I am from Israel, yes.
Right, so you're Nigerian Israeli with the Nigerian nationality, correct?
Yes.
Right, okay, brilliant. So part of today's topic, or the headline, is to talk about Israel as a state and religion. You're a rabbi. Let's start first by talking about Jewish values. What are Jewish values?
Right. So first of all, I want to thank you for having us on and trying to give many different viewpoints. I'm going to try my best to not give my own opinion, but give strictly Jewish values and Jewish morals, not talk about my own opinion. I'm going to work really hard on this. So Jewish values, the morality was actually defined not by human beings. Morality was defined by God himself. God, the creator of the heavens and earth, and every religion has its name, but it's for the same guy, so to say, up there. God put the rules of morality on how human beings need to interact one with another, between them and God, them and animals, in the Bible. This is godly ordained values. Now, the problem when we have values and morality that are defined by human beings is we don't need to go too far to Germany. We saw how they defined that it was morally correct to exterminate Jewish people. So therefore, when we talk about morality, Jewish morality is defined by God, not by human beings.
Jewish morality is defined by God, not by human beings. So how then do human beings act this out? When you say it's defined by God, not by human beings, right? I'm a Yoruba girl. We have, I believe in my Yoruba gods, right? Part of the teachings of Yoruba God is Omoluabi culture. I can tell you how I should behave as an Omoluabi who is a child of Yoruba. So what I'm saying is, when you say Jewish values is defined by God, not by human beings, how does that manifest itself with humans?
So first of all, you need to really stick to the book. When you want to know to go right or to left, you open the book. The Torah was the blueprint. The Torah is the Hebrew word for the Jewish Bible, is the blueprint for the world. That created the world, that sustained the world, and that's the only thing that's everlasting in this world. All of us around the table, we say we will return to dust, right? We are not here forever. Everything in this world, all these ideologies are here and they go. The only thing that has been here from before the world was created and will be here after everything, I mean, God said he will never destroy the world, but is the Torah and the Bible. So we need to open the Bible when we want to know how to live life, how to interact with our fellow, how to interact with somebody that you disagree with, how to conduct business, how to relate to your wife, how to relate to yourself. We need to open the Bible, and that's how it manifests itself.
Okay. You mentioned the Bible and the Torah, but you didn't mention the Quran. Abraham, I call it the triplets of Abraham: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. No?
I'm not a professional for other religions. I'm going to try to stay in my lane.
Okay, that's true. But you are a proponent of the Abrahamic religion, which is one of the trios with Judaism.
Right.
Okay. So how then does Judaism actually, what's the word I'm looking for? So to navigate and work with and appreciate the other two religions of Abraham, what we call them Abrahamic religions, which is Christianity and Islam?
We work very, very well. They do business together. They are friends. They go on vacation together. We're good neighbors. We're good friends. You see this all over the world. Jews and Muslims and Christians and everyone else gets along very well. As soon as they give the Jew an opportunity, he rises up within the opportunity. If it's in the company, if it's in the government, Jewish people are very well accepted and admired by the world. Sometimes there's jealousy, but that's a separate issue. But in general, we have great relationships. I must say that in Iran today, there's a Jewish member of parliament. There's a thriving Jewish community in Morocco. Not every country do you have that, but you do have a large majority of countries around the world that respect Jewish people and are interested in their knowledge and their value, what they bring to the world.
Interesting. Morocco is actually a very interesting one. What most people don't know that is that in Morocco, when during the Second World War, when actually the French was still part of the horrible set, and they were demanding for Jews to be actually sent back to be killed. The King of Morocco refused. He literally said there are no Jews here. That means I am not sending you any of my people to kill them. So, Morocco is a very interesting one.
It's true. He actually asked the Jews to kindly leave Morocco into the land of Israel so that he doesn't have to send them into France.
Well, that was later. But as of the time they wanted to be, as of the time they wanted to be.
As a result of,
talk to me about your Judaism as an Israeli, and I believe I shouldn't presume that just because you're Israeli, that means you're Jew, because that's also part of the other things that people tend to presume, and I think it's fair. So would you call yourself Jew?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I think there's so much to untangle. First of all, I'd like to explain that my telling of my background earlier was to emphasize that I've lived in many communities and I've been around the world and lived in different societies and different cultures and very much exposed. I can tell you that when you live in one place, it's very hard to not have a narrow-minded opinion of the world and of your own culture. So I think it's important to understand where I'm coming from into this discussion. I regard myself very much as a Jew. My parents are originally from the USSR,
Russia,
the Soviet Union. Yes, it was Russia, Ukraine. They're Ukrainian because they're from
the
part
Ukraine
of the
side.
Ukraine. Yes,
Right.
So you could say I'm a Ukrainian as well. I was born in Israel, brought up by my Ukrainian grandmother. Spoke Russian at home. So the Soviet Union was very much against religion. Communism is against religion. So I come from a very secular home where anything to do with any religious ceremonies is like my dad gets the hives, like literally, like like if I go, when I lived kid. My friend who was an Israeli friend, her parents were from, I think they were Moroccan Jews. So usually what we call the Sephardic Jews, they tend to be more conservative and more traditional. Yeah. So they took me to the synagogue on Yom Kippur. It was my first time. I was 15 or 14. And I remember going there and we fast 24 hours. That's what we usually do on Yom Kippur to reflect and think about what we've done throughout the year and how we want to be better next year. And we came to her house afterwards, after the fasting was over and after synagogue, and we had hot cocoa together. And I remember it was so magical. It was just a magical day. I felt so relaxed and cleansed. And I didn't even understand what all of this meant, like how I'm explaining it to you now. I did not understand it at the time. So I came home, and from that day, I fast on Yom Kippur every year. My parents looked at me like I'm a wacko, like I'm crazy, okay? Because that's their culture. That's where they came from. And I'm just trying to show you that there's different ways of practicing your Judaism, but it's not about practicing. You are born Jewish. You can't help it.
Right.
If your mother is Jewish, you have Jewish blood in you.
Right.
And so if your father is Jewish, you have Jewish blood, but you're not recognized, so to speak,
right.
as a Jew per se by the religious authorities. But if your mother is Jewish, you're Jewish.
Right.
100%.
So it's matrilineal.
Yes.
Right.
I know that in Christianity it goes by the father.
I don't think it must, but go ahead.
Maybe, that's what I've
Judaism
heard.
is very feminist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank
it's
you.
matrilineal.
It's
Yeah.
true. So, like I said, so my practicing of my religion, of my tradition and my blood, I'd say, is very much according to my faith, like how I feel that I should be practicing it.
Right.
And the more I go to the rabbi's house, or the more I go to the community events that we hold, the more I feel connected to my roots, the happier I am. Okay, so it gives us a sense of a family.
Right.
And we are a family. I mean, you look at all the Jews around the world now gathering to support each other because we are a tribe. And that's something I think a lot of people don't understand. When you were saying the Arab Jews, there isn't really a thing as Arab Jews because
There was.
Arabs are a tribe.
There was. There actually was.
So they
that is
lived-
an historic fact.
So they lived in Arab countries. Yes.
And Avishleim, who is a professor, would actually he said we were Arab Jews.
Okay.
And like the
Yes.
rabbi said, there is still a community of Jews in Iran.
Iran,
In
yeah.
Iran and in other parts of the world. Now, perhaps that's changed, but they were.
No, what I'm trying to say is Jews are part of the tribe of Judea.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying, look, there are Christian Nigerians, Christian, I don't know, Ukrainians, Christian, Brits, and all of that stuff, right? Now, there are black people, which is a race, like you said, Jewish is a race. There are black Christians, black Muslims, black Jews, for instance. So
as far as I know, and I might be wrong, and there were 12 tribes of the Israelites. The most of those 12 tribes have disappeared. So maybe when you say Arab Jews, it was one of those lost tribes. I don't know. I didn't investigate into it. But I can tell you that Jews of the Judean tribe, it's a tribe. You can't be an Arab. You can't be a descendant of an Arab tribe and a descendant of it. It's like saying you're a Yoruba, but you're also Igbo.
actually,
Unless your mother was one and your father
so
was
this
one,
is
which is
what we-
fine.
This is what we
Maybe.
don't know.
Yes, we
This
don't
is
know.
what we
That's
don't
why
know,
I'm saying I'm not.
right?
But when I say Jews, I mean we are descendants of the same tribe. So we share the same DNA, we share the same blood.
And that's
And
pretty
yeah, and I
much
think a lot
what
of people
Judaism is.
still, a lot of people may find it confusing or surprising that Judaism is a tribe. Actually, it's an ethnicity.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I mean, there was a time when it wasn't recognized as an ethnicity in the 5th century. If you go back, at that time, Jewish people were being by Europeans, of course. I think it was in Spanish Magna Carta.
Inquisition
There
during
was-
the Dark
there
Ages.
was
They were trying
making
to
them
convert into
to
Christianity.
before they actually, let them practice their religion, and they became a race. So yes, totally, I'm agreeing with you. Let's talk about Israel and religion then. So we have Judaism, and Israel says it is a Jewish country. Would you agree with that, Rabbi?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us.
It's we just restarted reading the Bible. We finish it every year, and
The Bible or the Torah?
same thing. The Torah,
the same thing for us.
the Hebrew Torah, the Old Testament in Christian.
In English, yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
yes,
no, it's the Torah.
let's
We
just
need
see.
to be clear.
Yeah,
It's the
okay, no
Torah.
problem.
Yeah.
The Torah. So we just restarted reading it, and in it says we go through the first book of all the stories of our forefathers, and one of the foremost commentators, a holy rabbi named Rashi, lived a couple hundred years ago in Germany, France. He says, why did God start the Torah with all these stories of how the world was created? If it's a book of law and morality, why do we need to know the history? Let us just go and say, do this, don't do that. What's the whole story? And he's saying God is coming to teach the world and us Jews ourselves that we must know that who created the heavens and earth, who put us on this earth, and he decided which nation, which ethnicity, which people will be on which parts of which land. He put what we call the Jewish people, the Israelites, the Ivrim, in the biblical borders of the land of Israel. He said, I'm giving this to the Jewish people because I'm the big baba of this entire world. I created it, and I said, okay, you go here, you go there, and you I'm going to put here. So Judaism is inseparable from the land of Israel.
Right, okay.
The full borders of the land of Israel.
When we talk about the land, this is where we come back to where we are today. When we talk about the land of Israel, the Israel that was created in 1948, 1947?
Well, that's a part of the biblical land of Israel. But yes, that is inherently Jewish.
Right, okay. So we talk about the Israel that was created in 1947. Prior to that, you had Balfour's Declaration of 1917. Prior to that, you had Ashkenazi Jews and Sephardic Jews, right? So you had European Jews and you had the Jews that lived in Israel. Prior to that, you had the Jews who actually left that land called the Israelites, who were called the Israelites at the time, right? Some stayed. Those are the ones that were prior to the separation. You had a Palestine that was a mixture of Jews, Christians, and Muslims. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, the Jews, most Jews were not always on the land of Israel. We were exiled, forcibly exiled right. Within the exiles. But yeah, I mean, by the way, I just want to point out, like
Please.
I said earlier, that I'm coming here to give you the Jewish perspective.
Absolutely, that's okay.
Not a Zionist perspective, not a political perspective, strictly Jewish. If I don't know, I'm not going to be afraid to say
you don't know. That's fine.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
But and something that I know that is not in my purview, I'm not going to speak about it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there were.
Just tell me. No, I don't know. I will move on to the next one.
Yeah, but yeah, Jews were exiled, and there always remained some sort of Jewish presence. But yeah, most of the Jews were exiled outside of Israel.
Okay, Ronya, you wanted to say something.
Well, there was just that, like, a bit of things were mixed up and confused in what
Please
you were
tell me.
saying, but maybe it's not that important. So.
No, go ahead.
No, you were saying that you were asking the rabbi if the Israel that was formed in 1947 was the Israel that was in the Torah. Is that what you were asking him?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. And why were you asking that?
Because it is important. It's part of the conversation. Because Israel celebrates its independence, and Israel declared the state of Israel in 1948.
Right. So,
and it was
in
actually
fact, in 1947,
the partition was done by the League of Gentlemen. So we can't get away from that.
So
it's a legal fact. It's a historical fact.
I misunderstood your question.
But it's okay.
So
it's okay. Go ahead.
Let me know if that's what you wanted to say. But in 1947, the borders that were given to the Jewish people for their state were adjacent to the borders that were given to the Arabs that resided in that area.
Palestinians, yeah.
No, they were not Palestinians. The word Palestinians actually formed in 1962.
No, that's not true.
It is.
That is not true. That's why you had the Palestinian the Palestinian partition in 1917. In actual fact, Balfour says so. So we can't get away from that.
Okay, so if you go back to 1917...
Yes,
the area,
Balfour's declaration.
Yes, Balfour was the Minister of Foreign Affairs
in the UK,
in the British government,
right?
And
who was actually petitioned
he said that the Her Majesty's government supports and supports having a Jewish state for the Jewish people, etc., that have been alienated by the other civilization around Europe, blah, 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 for too long, and they should go and have their own home in what he called Palestine, because British called it Palestine because the Romans called it Palestine. The land of Israel was given the name Palestine by the Romans during the Roman Empire because they wanted to erase the Jewish affiliation to the region. The Arabs that resided in that area called Palestine, as well as the Jews, were called Arabs and Jews. And in 1947, when the UN resolution came to divide the area into the two people that were living there. It was the Arab state and the Jewish state. Going back to what I was saying, it's tribal.
Palestine. Well, okay,
yes, it was the partition of. Sorry, please, Ireti, I would like to finish, if you don't mind.
No, it's because I'm worried about the time. We're going to.
Well, we'll say what we have, what we need to say. It's important to say the area was called Palestine, but there was no Palestinian state and there was no Palestinian people. They were Arabs and Jews. In 1962, the Arabs that were left in that region that was then conquered by the 6-Day War, blah, 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 that was done by the Arabs, and they lost some territory, and then the Arabs that stayed in that territory called now themselves Palestinian people.
I think you're wrong.
1962, you can look it up.
Let me ask you a question.
It's in the mandate.
Let me ask you a question. Why is it a problem to actually call those you call Arabs Palestinians? Why do you have... So as of 1967, right? Let's even take what you're saying. As of 1967, Palestine existed. As of 1948, as it is, yes, it did. You may look at me. Permit me to just finish, right? But I keep correcting and saying Palestinians. You insist on calling them Arabs. Yet, even the UN actually has this. Palestinians, let's go to your 1967, right? So
62,
why 67? Why it's the war was in 1967? Why is it that is a problem to call them? What I want to know is, why is it important to call them Arabs instead of Palestinians? Even if I'm going with what you say.
I just want to interject.
First, I would like Ronya to answer that, and then I'll come to you, Rabbi. Go ahead.
I think it's important for our audiences, since you mentioned a series of historical events, and you were saying this leads us up to what's happening today. And I think it's important for our audiences who really should be making up their own opinions about what's happening in the world.
But there is no opinion where history is concerned. I'm just asking you.
Exactly what I'm trying to say.
No. My question is, you don't want to call them Palestinians, you want to call them Arabs. Let's even take your history. Why do you not want to call them Palestinians after 67? Because the Nakba is actually historically recognized as the expulsion of Palestinian Arabs.
Ready, you keep on mentioning the sorry.
No, but forgive me. No worries. I just
you got my name right.
American accent.
Sorry. I just want to say that the British respectfully are very irrelevant. Wherever they put their finger, and I'm not putting to engage you. You're.
No, I know what you.
But whatever they put their finger on, there's been trouble
on the map.
Till today, between India and Pakistan, millions of people are dead in all over the Middle East. So the British are very, very irrelevant. They don't belong in our discussions. We should not bring them up. They are irrelevant. But our right to the land of Israel is nothing to do with the United Nations. With all due respect to that very irrelevant body as well, that hasn't prevented not even one conflict in the entire history of their being, other than corruption and creating rape and thievery and corruption.
Sorry, which being is that? The
United Nations.
The United Nations.
The British have their fair share.
Are you accusing the United Nations of creating rape?
Yes.
So we're going to have to discuss this.
But I just want to say that the Jewish connection to the land of Israel is irrelevant to the United Nations.
To what's happened, the League of...
It's irrelevant.
So we should declare that. We should disregard
I'm very clear.
History.
The United Nations, what they define is irrelevant because our morality is defined by God Almighty.
I'm not judging you on morality.
But I'm saying our right to govern this land and to dwell in this land is not by the United Nations, not by the United Kingdom, but by God Himself. Okay. So it happened to be that many Jews came after the Holocaust and after they were kicked out of Arab lands. That's when they started coming into Israel again. But that's their right to be in the land.
I'm not even judging on that. This is my point, is that what I was asking Ronya is, you rightly said, we have a right to the land or whatever. I respect that because you're coming from a religious place. Ronya was coming from a political place where you continue, and a historical place where you continue to actually insist on calling Palestinians, Arabs. And that's what I want to know. Why is that so important is the question. Why do you insist, even if we go with what, with the history that you profess?
I am far from being a politician. I'm not a politician.
No, not at all.
I
Neither
don't
am I.
represent any political entity at all, including the state of Israel, Evans. But I don't say that I don't want to call anybody anything. I'm just saying these are the facts, and I think the audience should have the facts and the correct facts in order to form their own opinions. If anything, I learned personally from this time of turmoil around the world. Honestly, there's war almost everywhere.
Oh no, that's fine. Let's
if anything I learned is that media is not a reliable source as we would have thought years ago.
Well, I think you'll be
for
talking,
me
okay,
personally,
so I've got to come at you on that. I really have to challenge
So just
that.
let me finish.
Well, no, I can't because you've just literally said media is not a reliable source. That means that you are saying this show is not a reliable source. But if you like, I can quote you from history. I have had Ilan Papi on this show. I have had Miko Peled. I have had Elon Levy. I have had several. Not one of them has come out and say, oh, Borderlines is giving us fake history. And that's effectively what you're saying.
We have to remember
that is very much
permit me,
not.
Rabbi, please. Go ahead.
Okay, can I say what I want?
I was just saying, Rabbi.
I think if
you
let me
are now
finish-
speaking in different language. We need to stick on the topic, please. Don't speak in different language.
Sorry.
Everybody that's listening to this. We have people listening in Israel, from Amsterdam, from Europe, from all over, literally, even from Ramallah. We have people who join in all over. So please, go ahead and say what you were going to say something.
Yes, I was going to say that I think talk shows like this one is one good source. I think people should listen to at least 5 sources of media.
Absolutely.
Exactly, to do some fact checking
Absolutely.
and form their own opinions and get a real sense of what is happening.
Absolutely.
Okay, so by no means was I speaking about your show.
Well, when you say media, I mean, I'm part
exactly,
of
so
media. We're part of media, so I get it. Let's go back to let's go back. There's a quote you talked about now, and what people should listen to. Let me give you a quote. You said on Arise, if we let these terrorists live on, we are endangering the whole of the free world. Every country that promotes democracy for human rights or freedom is jeopardizing its values and people if we don't fight this terrorism. That's why you see the countries of the world standing by Israel. Unpack that quote for me, please. You said it on Arise.
Thank you. I didn't know I said that. That sounds
Yes,
really
you
good.
did. It's my job to do the research.
I'm happy
just
you said
to let
it.
you
I'm
know
happy. I'm very
that
happy.
I do my research deeply.
You know, I think I would really love to lend in something fresh to the show from my personal experience living in the Middle East, as we say in Israel. One of the stories that has been accompanying me, if that's the word,
That's part of your journey.
Half of my life.
Yeah.
So I've been married for more than half of my life. Sorry, everyone, I'm married.
That's all right. Nothing wrong with that. We have a rabbi here. He's going to support that.
Yes,
don't you?
Definitely.
Exactly. Nothing to apologize for.
It was a joke. My father-in-law, when he was 16, he was what we call Ole Chadash, a new immigrant in Israel, because he moved with his family from Romania when he was 15. And he was 16 years old, coming back from boarding school home to see his mom, which was his life. He was an only child, and she was his life. And on his way home, she was coming to meet him at the bus stop. A terrorist came and basically shot everybody on the street, and she got shot.
This was in
blank.
Israel, right?
This was in Israel, point blank in the head, and died on the spot.
Wow.
Yes. And my father-in-law has been living with that trauma till now. He's nearly 80. His father never recovered from it, never spoke to him about it, so he had to carry that burden alone. And yet, when I met my husband, one of his closest friends was a Muslim, Arab, Israeli guy from a town 20 minutes down from us, with whom he has been working at the horse farm since they were 15, together, hand by hand, shoulder by shoulder. And I became friends with him and with his whole family. He later died of cancer, and we still remain very close friends with the family till today. And what I'm trying to say is, despite the horrific event, and that is not the only event, I can tell you of a day I was sitting in my house, and suddenly, and I'm a student in high school, and suddenly there's a big bang outside my window, and I look out, and there's a bus full of
This
school
was high
kids.
school in Israel.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
A bus. No, I wasn't in high school. I was in
Okay.
university. Sorry. A school bus of university of high school kids was blown up at the bus stop across the street from my
Whilst
house.
you were in university.
I was in university. They were school kids coming back
This was
from
in
school.
Israel,
This
right.
is in Haifa in Israel.
Right.
Across from my house, down the street, a suicide bomber sat on the bus with all the school kids and bombed the bus at the bus stop, right across from my street. What I'm trying to tell you is that you don't see us growing to hate. We are friends. We work together. We live with each other. We care for each other. We cherish each other. The Arabs in Israel are... We don't grow to hate. When you see people on the other side and that hatred, you saw the movie of the Nova.
Oh, yes, I was there.
You were there.
I was also in Israel.
You saw...
I was in Israel.
Yes.
Yes,
but you
immediately
saw
after October 7th.
You saw the
December.
movie with the footage, the real footage of Hamas and the hate that was there. I don't know if you saw, because there's a lot of other footage that wasn't on that movie.
I actually saw, let me explain what I saw to you. Whilst I was in Israel, the IDF took us, so I was the only Nigerian journalist that went actually.
Well
the
done.
IDF took us to, if you like, a secure location to show us this 45 minutes. It's a video that's a collection of clips from the night of, from October 7th, which basically lasted some 18 hours, because I think the latest time that I recorded there was about 10 something. Yeah.
The trip was 18 hours, but the movie, the clip
No,
shows
not
45 minutes.
Yeah,
I think.
that's what I'm saying. I said the 7th.
Did they also show you the clips of the videos inside Gaza?
Yes.
So I believe you saw the hate.
You continue. I don't want to interrupt you. Well, you want me to answer that now?
Oh yeah, I'm asking you.
It's not funny because we
No,
have
it's not funny at
people
all.
dead. So I'm not going to laugh about it. Here's what I saw. And here's what I will tell you. We had a dastardly attack on October 7th. Hamas killed 1,200 Israelis. They kidnapped 250, right? We had children killed. I saw houses that were bombed and blown out. I physically saw that. I was there. There was the Nova Festival, where these kids, which was literally next to Gaza, where these kids were having what we call a house music festival, because I used to go to one when I was younger, right? So I know this. I've always been to festivals, so I know this. That in itself was horrific, because I remember what you showed me. I had what I saw in the documentary that you invited me to. I had seen clips of that when I was in Israel. So I saw a great deal, right? Now, what I've seen since after that, like, it is a fact. And if you want to go there, let's discuss it, because we don't have much time. It is a fact. Well, this is it. You asked me. It is a fact that history did not start on October 7th. It is a fact that over 700,000 Palestinians, whom you choose to call Arabs, actually were kicked out of their land, or some left when the war started. It is a fact because Miko Peled, who is an Israeli, you can Google him, Miko Peled confirms that. He was on the show. He said one of the things that he didn't understand as a child, and his mother told him later, was that as of the time when the Palestinian homes were being taken over, right, they came and they offered those homes to Israeli families, to Jewish families. And his mother said, no, I'm not going to do that. Now, let me tell you who Miko Peled is. Miko Peled is the grandson of, I've forgotten his name now, Avram, who is one of the founders of Israel.
Where's the question?
No, she asked me a question.
What do you mean, the grandfather of Avram, the founder of Israel?
Yes, he is. Please Google him. Miko Peled's father was actually a general. His grandfather was one of the signatories to Israel's Declaration of Independence.
I see.
Right? Mm-hmm. You asked me a question about hate. That's what you asked me. You asked me a question.
No, I was asking
you asked me whether I saw
so you
hate.
don't see
and
the
you
hate.
started laughing.
But
No, I haven't answered. I am giving you background because I'm not going to start talking about this from October 7th. I would be denying both sides.
I don't think I was talking about it from October 7th.
That's where you started from.
No,
So what
not.
you also
I started
said
from
when
my childhood,
right?
And
that's why I was
my husband's father's childhood.
Permit me.
And much before that.
Yes, and that's why I was going with Miko Peled. Miko's niece was killed by a suicide bomber. Mm-hmm. He's been on this show to tell us. Mm-hmm. He was in Israel. His sister's daughter was killed by a suicide bomber. Mm-hmm. He said it devastated him. Prior to that time, he had never, ever been anywhere near a Palestinian. Never. He grew up, because of course, as you can imagine, the son of a general whose grandfather, was one of the signatories to the formation of Israel. He said he grew up not knowing any Palestinian. He then went back to the U.S. It was when he got back to the U.S., there was some sort of healing event or whatever, and it was Palestinians and Jewish people. Mm-hmm. And he decided to go just for the sake of it. Mm-hmm. And he said that's where he began to learn about Palestinians. He said that's where he began to learn about love. Mm-hmm. He said all his life he had been brought up to hate Palestinians. So you asked me about hate. That's where I'm going.
No, that's not what I was asking.
Well, you did. You asked me. You asked me about.
I was asking what you saw. I was asking what did you see?
I told you what I see.
On the other side.
Killing. On which side?
On the other side.
On the Palestinian side.
Yes. Did you see any Palestinians?
We were not allowed to go into Gaza.
Any Palestinians? But you saw the videos of what's happening in Gaza.
Yes, I saw horrid. I mean, I can only talk about the sheer trauma of it. Yes, I saw all of that.
I don't want to tell the audiences
what
I have.
We saw I've told them before.
It's traumatic.
I was there. I've told them before.
All right, then I can say that we saw them how they dragged the body of an Israeli guy on the ground like it's a piece
Even worse, should I tell you what I saw?
Meat and trash and
Even worse,
it.
I saw them cut the neck of an IDF. I saw all of it. You're not going to tell me anything I haven't seen.
And so when you're asking me about my quote about the future of, was the question, right?
I said unpack it for us.
I am saddened to say that I feel trapped. I feel trapped. I can't go back and undo an education of a generation. I wish there is some way somebody could show us the light to do that. And I would have loved for that to be the situation.
Okay, Rabbi, over to you. Ronya and I have almost taken over the show.
Sorry,
forgive me.
I think you were getting on to the war and what's going on.
Which you said you didn't want to discuss.
No, I don't want to discuss political aspects, but I want to talk about Jewish lives.
Okay.
And how moral works, Jewish Torah morality works. Mm-hmm. You see, an oft overlooked concept is...
No, I'm looking at the time because we've only got 12 minutes left.
So,
and I'd like
the way...
less than that. Okay. Yes, we've got less than 12 minutes. Gosh, the time goes so fast.
So the Jewish people are obligated, first and foremost, to protect their people, their nation, and their land. Mm-hmm. And that's their first and foremost priority.
Okay.
Once Jewish people can securely ascertain that they have security, they can start to help other people. Now, when you have other people who said, we're going to come kill you, the Torah gives guidelines. What is the moral way how to deal with these issues? So we have to remember, we need to follow the Torah.
Okay.
So there's a line, I'm not going to say it in Hebrew, I'm going to stick strictly to English. The one who comes to kill you, the one who wakes up to kill you, doesn't say that he started killing you. He wakes up to kill you. You go and kill him first because you need to protect yourself, your wife, your children.
Right.
And if we don't look at a year and a week ago, we understand very clearly why. So we need to make sure that there's no one going to ever be able to, or at least for the next 40 years, like two generations, to make sure that they will never wake up to think about hurting another Jew. We have to make sure that in their mind they say, no, not with those people. Like the Al-Qaeda in the United States. Al-Qaeda knows, those Americans, leave them. Let's find another target.
Didn't you just now, you said you didn't want to talk about Zionism. What you've just described now is Zionist ideology.
That's not Zionist, it's Jewish principles.
But that's also Zionist ideology. That's not what I knew. It's Zionist ideology.
Maybe Zionism took a lot of it, but I'm not going to speak for Zionism. I'm going to speak for Torah Judaism.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying that's
saying
Zionist ideology.
Many people have many ideologies. Most countries have an ideology. Every sane country has an ideology, and every parent has an ideology. Let me protect my family and make sure everybody knows, no one's going to touch my wife and kids.
Okay.
Right. So that's our... Now, there's an off...
I need to hurry up because we've got literally 5 minutes
I want to
left.
discuss something that I've seen you discuss in your show before. It's the question of innocent civilians.
4 minutes.
4 minutes, trust me.
No, you can't do 4 minutes because I'm going to give...
I want to speak about innocent civilians. An innocent civilian is somebody who identifies themselves in the language of the authority that says, I am not a threat to you. So, for example, when a police officer pulls you over, what do? You put your hands on the steering wheel, and if you need to reach down to take your driver's license, you tell the officer, please, sir, I need to put my hand down. When you're in a conflict zone, you make sure your hands are very, very high up, and you wave it like this, that I don't have nothing against you. So the onus is on the person who wants to identify as a civilian and say, I am a civilian. Don't touch me. I'm not going to pose a threat to you. Israel needs to make sure that anybody in their vicinity that they're going to identify as somebody is not going to ever pose a threat to them. That is the obligation. Just like you, I don't know if you're a mother or whatever, but you have a responsibility for the people in your surroundings.
Yes,
just like
for my community.
Exactly. You have a responsibility for me in your building.
Right. We have 3 minutes left, but very quickly to that, you're right about the fact that when somebody is a civilian, they put their hands up or put up a white flag, etc. There were three Israeli hostages who did that, and they ended up getting killed in Gaza. But let me come
and it's very true. That's very true.
I can't.
I know, but it's very true. What you said. I've studied you. I want to give you an answer.
No, but
they did not. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, it wasn't clear enough for the authority, their fellow IDF soldiers. It wasn't clear enough for them, and it's a disaster.
Okay, Ronya, I'm going to give you a minute to close. Unfortunately, people, they're going to be back. You haven't been able to ask them any questions. We have no time because my next guest is online. I need to give you a minute. That's my boss next door. She's already, you can see her waving her finger when I said 5 minutes. Please, go ahead. I need you to close for me on peace. What is the way forward for peace? As a Jew, because I grew up in England, I grew up in Northwest London, I grew up eating challah and all of that stuff. And for me, the Jewish values that I know are collective, community, peace, and love. What is the way forward for that? You've got a minute.
Two things I can tell you about that. One is when in Israel, the Forum of the Families of the Hostages did their memorial ceremony of the October 7th this year. One moment when every family member came on stage, and at one point there was the wife of a Druze Arab soldier, IDF commander, and a wife of a Jewish IDF commander standing hand in hand. Both of them had their husbands killed in battle a month apart. Turns out that they were best friends. turns out that the MC of the event knows the uncle of the Druze guy because they are friends from IDF.
Yeah,
and so an Arab girl, wife, and a Jewish wife, both weeping their lost husbands together, hand in hand, supporting each other. And I think that is the future, that the picture of the future that we see, that we want to see.
As what you're talking about, that collectiveness that I called Jewish values. Is that what you're saying?
I think it's part of. I don't know what you mean, but that's what.
That's what I knew
see.
Jewish values to be. But unless I'm wrong,
well, that's how we do it in Israel.
Exactly. You've got to come back, both of you, because we have to do this again. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, people. They're already calling. My next guest is online. Thank you.
And I'm sure he's very exciting. I heard his name, so I
yes, Daniel Levy. Yes, it's going to be
I'll be tuning in.
Very exciting. Ronya Man and Rabbi Mendy.
Thank you for having us, Ireti.
News and sports after this.
In the cooking game, you need a winning game plan. I'm not just talking about your fresh ingredients, utensils, or cooking.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.